Well, welcome to our daily Bible reading. We're up to Genesis chapter 9. We're kind of wrapping up the Noah narrative here. Noah has built the ark. By God's provision, he has endured the flood, he, his family, and all the animals. And now they're back on land. They landed, if you will, at the end of chapter 8. In chapter 9 now, the writer of Genesis kind of helps us understand why this is significant, what's happening. You'll see some interesting kind of allusions to earlier parts in Genesis, but we'll talk about that afterwards. Let's read it for now. Genesis 9. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heaven, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hands they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. But you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. And for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require it, and from man. From his fellow man I will require a reckoning for the life of man. Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made man in his own image. And you be fruitful and multiply, teem on the earth and multiply on it. Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, behold, I establish my covenant with you and your offspring after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every beast of the earth with you, as many as came out of the ark, it is for every beast of the earth. I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the sign of the covenant that I will make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow, we would say rainbow, in the cloud, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. God said to Noah, this is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. The sons of Noah who went forth from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these three the people of the whole earth was dispersed. Noah began to be a man of the soil, and he planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and became drunk and lay uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that the nakedness of his father and told his brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and walked backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned backwards, and they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest son had done to him, he said, cursed be Canaan. A servant of servants shall be his brother. He also said, blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and let him dwell in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his servant. After the flood, Noah lived for 350 years. All the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. I've summarized this chapter with two words saying blessing and fall. You'll notice as the chapter begins, did you catch the references, kind of allusions to the creation account, 2 times God says to Noah, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. That sounds like Genesis 1, doesn't it? And of course, it was a new beginning. And there were a lot of similarities to the creation because Noah was beginning again. Now, Noah, we're told that God allows him now to eat animals. Up until this point in history, humanity had been vegetarians. But God gives him instructions about not having the blood in the animal, and that'll become very significant. The blood was the symbol of life. Um, and then we're told about the rainbow and God making a covenant. Now, if you remember, in chapter 8, God talks about how he knows that man is still evil. Nothing has changed of his assessment of humanity. But what's changed is his promise of grace, mercy, really. And it's interesting. He says the rainbow is a sign that he will not destroy the earth again with a flood. And he says that when he sees it, it will remind him of the promise that he has made. We see this promise flows entirely from God. It's entirely up to God. He is the one who will keep it. It's a beautiful promise, and it is one of many that we'll see as we work our way through the Old Testament. Well, then we're told the story of Noah planting a vineyard and becoming drunk and laying uncovered in his tent, and his son, who was it? Which one was it? Ham comes and tells his brother, or kind of makes fun of him. You might say, well, that's kind of an odd story. What is that in there? Well, remember that the Bible is always teaching us about God. And what we're told in that story. Remember that God has wiped out all of humanity and many, many animals, and only Noah and his family, he was found righteous, is preserved. And now what happens when Noah gets on earth and starts to live his life again? He sins. So even though that God has destroyed and brought judgment upon all of the earth, sin continues. And we realize that our need for a greater Savior, that promise that's given to Eve in Genesis 3 about the one that will destroy the serpent. That Moses is an important figure and he is righteous, but he cannot bring the righteousness that humanity needs. And so we see here in this passage both the promise and blessing of God, be fruitful and multiply, the rainbow reminding him. And we're also reminded that humanity is still sinful. And even righteous Noah continues sin. And so we wait and we long and we look forward to what we, from our place in history, know is Christ. And that's where the story ends. And it's a great reminder. We cannot overcome sin no matter how hard we try and how much we want. But Christ can. That is our hope. Well, I hope you have a good evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.